So if all my CAs that are in business, so like I said, these are your financial directors, these are your lecturers, these are guys who are not even acting in a CA capacity, but they are registered with SACA as a CA, and so whatever duty you do, you need to comply with the requirements of the CPC because you are registered as a CASA, but we are not in auditing, okay? So, what situations could they find themselves in? Well, first and foremost, they could have a conflict of interest where they have an interest, the CASA has an interest, but it could affect the decision that they need to make for their employment entity. Okay, so any kind of interest that could affect a decision that would affect how they deal with their employment entity. So what happens? If there is this, it is going to result in a self-interest threat because of their own interest conflicting. If it could affect the decision, it's going to affect their objectivity because they're blinded by their interest. And so the safeguard that they could have to help with that is to have supervision around their actions in dealing with this conflict. All of that you will find in section 210, conflict of interest, as well as some examples of the conflicts that they could face. Okay, but ultimately you'll see they have to make a business decision, but they are being swayed because this business decision also affects them. So their interest is being put first. So, how to address it from a CPC's perspective? I first identify the threat to the fundamental principle, which we've done there. In 210, it's going to then give me how to evaluate the significance. And then here I've put down the safeguard supervision. Okay, you will have to answer it like that. Section 220, and this one I am actually going to go into the CPC for because it comes up often. Presentation and preparation of information. So in a situation here, you as the CASA need to prepare the financial statements of your entity that you are employed for. So you're the financial director, you need to prepare the financials, or you need to prepare the accounting records for the preparation of the financial statements. And now somebody comes to you and says, you know that you are going to get a bonus based on the outcome of those financials. Or we need to have these financials come out looking like we are liquid and solvent, otherwise this business is going under. So you need to make sure the statement of financial position comes out with a liquidity and solvency position favorable. All of a sudden, you are getting intimidated to alter those financials because of the threats being made to you. So you could have a self-interest or intimidation threat to professional competence and due care. You're being asked to act against the way you know you should be in terms of the compliance with the laws and regulations around preparation of those financials. So once again, I've got threats to the fundamental principles. We're going to have to look in the section to see if there are any ways to determine if it's significant or not. And then here I've got your safeguards to discuss this with a superior or a professional body. Refuse to remain associated with the information if we know it's misleading. And then we looked at this earlier. In addition to applying all of this, I now need to go and discuss the definition of integrity. that I must not be associated with reports or information that is misleading, and if I am aware of this, I need to dissociate. So I'm going to use 220 plus the definition of integrity to maximize my marks. Let's go into 220. Preparation and presentation of financial information or information, and it says to you, you could have a self-interest, intimidation, or other threats to one or more of the fundamental principles. And it doesn't actually describe the fundamental principles here, guys. So you would need to work it out and say, is it professional competence and due care? Is it to integrity? Is it to whichever else? You must use your situations to determine that. So it says examples of information could be reports, it could be budgets, it could be analysis, it could be tax returns. These are the things you might be preparing or presenting. And it says when you do this, you should prepare them in accordance with the relevant reporting framework. You should make sure that they are not intended to mislead or influence someone, that you do exercise professional judgment, and that you do not omit anything. So these are the requirements of what should happen as a CA presenting information. If, however, you have been asked to mislead, or you are aware that the information is misleading, then you need to take action to resolve the matter. What are those actions? You need to discuss them with the superior or those charged with management. Guys, these are your safeguards. If these don't happen, then you can't be associated with that. You need to consult policies and procedures. If they do not take further action based on what we've said, we need to consult with professional bodies, internal, external auditors, legal counsel. And if after exhausting all of these options, they still don't, we need to refuse to remain associated. So ultimately, there's no longer a safeguard, and resign from the employee organization. So guys, they don't here help you with how to evaluate the significance. So you've got to take the information in the situation from the scenario. Are they being pressured? You can then say their superior is pressurizing them. This is significant. So my actions, I need to consult with those charged with governance. Tell them of this. I need to seek further action by going to a authority, a regulatory authority, or ultimately refusing to remain associated and potentially resigning. Another situation we could find ourselves in as a CA in business is acting with insufficient expertise. So management have said to us, please do this. I know I don't have knowledge on this, but I want to do it because I'm going to get paid for it, so I accept it. So self-interest threat to professional competence and due care. Once again, that's my first step. 2, I need to discuss, is it significant? So what have they asked? Am I able to get the knowledge I need? And then 3, my safeguard, can I get the assistance and the training? If I can't, then I shouldn't be accepting that role. 240, financial interests, compensation, incentives linked to financial reporting and decision making. So once again, maybe I've got shares in the business, so already I've got an interest when it comes to those financials because I want the dividends. Or maybe I don't have financial interest, but I do get a bonus based on profits. Then again, those financials have a big impact on my bonus, so I have an interest. As soon as I've got an interest, I have got a self-interest threat. Now, what is it to? It's probably to objectivity in the situations I've given, but there could also be confidentiality if I'm exposed to information because of my interest that I potentially shouldn't have. And then I use that information to help me with my decision. So step 2, I'm going to have to evaluate the significance. So basically, how significant is this financial interest? Is it small that it's not going to affect my objectivity, or is it huge that it is going to? Okay, so that's an obvious one in terms of significance. It's going to be how significant the interest is. And then 3, what are my safeguards? So this section says, disclose your interest to those charged with governance, to internal and external audit procedures. There's policies that should be determined by an independent committee on the interests you can have, and I would need to adhere to those. Okay, so once again, all the safeguards are there. I've just got to identify in the scenario that this is the section that is applicable for me to go and find all the answers in the CPC. Again, because financial interests come up quite often, I want to take you to section 240. And here we go, financial interest or compensation incentives linked to financial reporting. And it says, this will create a self-interest threat to objectivity or confidentiality. It says here that we shall not manipulate information for personal gain. So if we are doing that, this section is applicable. Some examples of threats: having direct or indirect financial interest in the employing organization, potentially getting a profit-related bonus. Okay, so how do we go about evaluating the level of the threat? So the significance, so point 2, look at the significance of the financial interest. If they've got policies and procedures that tell us it would be significant, I would need to look at those. But in addition to that, this is also your safeguard. So safeguards here are to adhere to policies and procedures in terms of what you can have as an interest. Disclosure to those charged with governance. So everybody knows your interest and the fact that you might be swayed based on your interest. And then once again, internal and external audit procedures that could be specific to address those risks around those interests. Okay, safeguards are given in this situation. A nice simple section for a CA in business: if you are asked to do something for a gift or hospitality, you are getting something out of it, so it's self-interest, but maybe it's coming from a threatened perspective, so it's intimidation, or maybe just because you've got a close relation here, so they're offering it to you. But ultimately, this could sway your objectivity, your integrity, your professional behavior. So once again, once I've identified my threats, I need to look at the significance. And guys, again, look at the value of this gift in order to determine if it's significant. Safeguards: inform those charged with governance, or ultimately do not accept it if you feel it is going to affect objectivity or integrity. Section 260, responding to non-compliance. So if you are the CASA in business and you become aware that this company that you are working for is not complying with laws and regulations, and you do nothing about it, you have faced a self-interest threat or intimidation threat to your integrity or professional behavior, because you have to do something if you become aware of it. Okay, what are the safeguards? If you become aware of it, you need to understand the matter, discuss the matter with your superior on how best to address this, and then assess those actions that they have taken. If they haven't taken the actions, we need to disclose it with the appropriate authority and resign from the employing organization, because ultimately, if we remain, we are saying we accept working for people who are unethical, who are not complying with laws and regulations. Okay, so we've got a massive responsibility here by the way we act after we are aware of non-compliance. And then 270, guys, this is a very new section, and it says, if we have any pressure to breach the fundamental principles as a CA in business, so whether it's pressure by getting a gift, or whether it's pressure to do nothing for non-compliance, or whether it's pressure because an interest has been given to us, then our safeguards for that pressure are going to be discussing what is happening with the superior, with those charged with governance, and potentially requesting a restructure. So the person who is pressurizing you is no longer in a situation to pressurize you because you've been moved out of the department or away from that person who is pressurizing. Okay, so guys, that is what a CA in business could face. In a situation, you get the scenario of a question. As soon as you now see a CA essay, you need to write CPC. And obviously, when we get to auditors, as soon as you see auditors, you need to write CPC. Because when you make that link, that there's someone in this audit client that is a CA essay, you will start to pick up the scenarios in the question that you might not have seen initially. I've got a couple of little examples I quickly want you guys to do. Take 2 minutes, literally, to write down what the threat to the fundamental principle is in the following situations.